Okay, we're back on chisel plowing, at least for the time being. I guess to get you up to speed on where we are at in the week. We last saw you Monday when I finished up spreading fertilizer and had that, well, almost finished up spreading fertilizer and had that flat tire in the 1955. Tuesday, when I was saying that we had chances of rain, the 60% chance of rain turned into 0.4 of an inch between about 6 o'clock and noon Tuesday morning. So that pretty much shut down any groundwork for a couple days. But Tuesday afternoon, the sun did come out and it became partly cloudy, although it was still cold. And I was able to finish up that little bit of touch-up fertilizer spreading I had to do. So fertilizer spreading's all done. I did have a little bit left over, so I threw that on the hay field just for good measure. And for the people that have been asking about the hay field, that's gonna have to be brush chopped at least once before I could actually make a cutting off of it, because it's got a bunch of yellow rocket growing on it, which I don't know where that came from, because there wasn't any that I knew or that was visibly obvious when we put the hay in last year. So they must have been hiding dormant under all that cover that was on it. But anyway, yellow rocket is incredibly poisonous to most livestock, so we can't be having none of that. But one mowing at one time should pretty much take care of that problem. If it wasn't a mixed hay, you could probably control it chemically, but with, I think there's 7 different kinds of grasses, alfalfa, and I think there's clover in it, so you're kind of screwed on any sort of chemical weed control on that. But that's okay, not a big problem. Anyhow, and then Wednesday, I probably almost could have tried doing some chisel plowing, but I had a guy come over and look at or get me a quote on doing the roof on my house, and I went over to that first field that I chisel plowed where the limbs needed cut up, and I trimmed all them limbs back. So that job's done, and by the time that was all chewed up, I basically had time. I got the chisel plow hooked up last night. And I did remember finally to adjust my detent kick out on my valve, so now it doesn't hold into detent when you push the lever one way or the other, so you don't got to slap it out manually anymore, which is nice. But while we're standing here talking, I do want to, I brought my soil thermometer with me, and I want to check roughly where we're at on soil temperature, because it's kind of strange that normally all the guys, I mean, it's not strange, the weather not so much the weather, but the temperatures both nighttime and daytime have been holding guys back pretty much, or pretty good. But all the guys that are normally the first ones in the field come rain, sleet, or snow, their planters are just sitting. There's really nothing, for the most part, there's nothing in the ground right now, which is odd for this close to May 1st. But we've had like hard, like deep freezes the last 4 nights in a row, and I think it's supposed to continue for at least the next week. Eh. 60, can't see because of the sun glare. 62 degrees, that's really not that bad. I ain't gonna walk all over, but get at least a couple different spots. But we are sitting in better shape than last year, because I was doing some looking through my photos yesterday to see where we are this year compared to last year. And this time last year I was still working on putting the planter together, and I didn't put my first seed in the ground until May 13th last year. That was when I planted my first beans. Oh, we're a little colder over here. about 58-ish. 56, 58, somewhere in there. So, I mean, still, in theory, plenty warm to be planting. But we got rain forecasted Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and the daytime temps are only supposed to be in the low 50s and nighttime temps around freezing. So at that point you're cold and wet. So not that I'm too worried about getting going anyway. I don't have enough ground to worry about making those kind of decisions. It's like I say, it's just weird because normally the guys that are the first in the field, well, I drove past one of their farms. I drive past one of the farms on the way home from work every day, and I mean, they are April 20th, you know, early planting crop insurance date. As soon as that date hits, they are normally in the field rolling. I've seen them planting beans in the snow before, and planters are just sitting there next to the shop. It's strange, but I think until guys, of course, we get after the 1st of May, I think that's going to push guys a little harder. But until we start seeing some more promising daytime temps, I don't think guys are going to be too hot about moving. But welcome to dealing with lake weather, where if you drive about 35-40 minutes south of the state line here, probably not even that far, probably about 20-25 minutes south of the state line, there's guys been planting for the last couple weeks, but that's also all sand ground, and that's about all the further south you have to go to escape the lake effect. So same thing if you go east of here, you know, 25-30 minutes. They've been working ground for the last 3 weeks over there, but they haven't been getting any of the rain we've been getting. We're in a really weird spot right here because of the lake. It's one of them deals where unless you experience it, it's really hard to explain. Last year I worked this field at an angle like this, and this time I'm going like this. thing doesn't need to be here. Naturally, I don't have a shovel. Oh, that's bigger than it looked. That's a rock. Happened to look back while I was turning and noticed I had a couple plow points getting a little wiggly, so I had to have Dad bring me a wrench. I guess I need to get out of line and find me a cheapy 11/16 I can throw in the toolbox. That way, if it gets lost, I don't care about it. I made it over here to where I left this little deer plot for my cousin, so he had something to hunt over. I'm just kind of curious how well these beans actually... Hello, Toad. I'm curious how well these beans overwintered. You can tell the deer must have been out here loving on them. Well, obviously, that was kind of the point. Huh. They really don't look that bad. Wonder how dry they are. They crack. If I had a dirty combine that I didn't mind bringing over here, it'd almost be interesting to cut them and see what the test weight was and everything. Not that you're gonna get a whole lot, because like I say, they've pretty much been stripped. But I'm impressed they're not moldy. They are cracking, though. So they're dry enough to cut. Screw it, let's go get the combine. We're just gonna skip spring and summer, and we're just gonna go right into harvest. 20 acres knocked out, so I got enough daylight left. I guess I'll run down the road and we'll pick up that 6-acre piece that I found, or that I've got. While I was back there, I got a really nice phone call. That 15-acre piece that I picked up for this year that has a wet hole in it, I guess I lost that already, even after I spread fertilizer on it. Apparently, like 2 months before I went and talked to the guy, one of my buddies had gone and talked to him, and they made a deal. Fast forward to December, January, whenever the hell it was, I went and talked to him. It's been long enough ago, I can't remember now. But I'm pretty sure it was before I ordered seed. So it would have been right around, I think I ordered seed between Christmas and New Year's, but don't quote me on that. But anyhow, I go talk to him. He makes zero mention of my buddy ever talking to me. He made zero mention of anybody really talking to him in recent times. We come up with an agreement on price. I asked him what he wants farmed. He said everything at the bottom of the hill. Leave me a path around the outside so I have a place to ride my side-by-side. I say okay, he says okay, we shake on it, away I go. I order seed for it. I got treated seed, so I can't return that. When I left, I said, well, I'll plan on being out here this spring to start working on it. And like I say, I said okay, he said okay. I got fertilizer spread on it last week. Today I got a call from my buddy saying, hey, I have a deal with him already. I can honestly say this is the first time I have ever been burnt in all the years I've been doing this on a handshake agreement. And boy, does that make a guy really just lose his fucking faith in the world. You'd like to think, at least out here in this part of the country, a handshake still means something, but apparently it fucking don't. Oh, I'm hot. Oh, I can't talk right now. Guess this is going to be a pretty short outro. I've pretty much had the wind knocked out of my sails for today. I don't even know what to say at this point. I guess whatever happens from here, or what happens from here as far as videos go, kind of depends on what the weather does. I don't know if I'll be able to do some more chisel plowing this weekend. It all depends on what the rain does, but otherwise Got some little piddly projects to take care of, but I don't know if they're worth videoing or not. I guess we'll see what kind of mood I'm in by that point, because so far right now it ain't that good a one. But I gotta get this thing home and put away and go get Teeter and go home and go to bed. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Okay, just real quick, because I didn't want to end the video on that negative of a note. I had a day to cool off. Thinking about how the whole thing transpired today, I'm really honestly thinking that maybe I honestly dodged a bullet with that guy, because if that's the way he chooses to treat people to do business, even if I had a contract with him, that just seems like the kind of landlord that would just be really, really difficult to do business with, and probably would have made farming that field a living hell. So I think, in all honesty, I might have dodged a bullet. Sucks to lose the ground because acres are hard to find, but there ain't no amount of ground worth dealing with a person like that does that crap. Their life's too short. I can find more somewhere else. It might not happen this year, but hopefully for something for next year. The only thing that sucks is the beans. I don't know if Wyckoff will work with me on those or not. I'll have to call and talk to Brian and see what he thinks. And that's the shitty part. After I finished up yesterday, I went back and looked on my phone, because I texted Brian the day I got done talking to that guy, because that was a piece of property I was waiting to get word on before I ordered seed, because I knew it was going to be a big chunk. And so I went back and looked at what day I texted Brian to see when he could meet up for seed, and it was December 11th. So well before the new year. So yeah. Anyhow, so I mean, yeah, it sucks, but thinking about it, after stewing on it all day today, I'm honestly not that heartbroken about it, because I think, like I say, I think it just would have been not a pleasant experience working with that guy. And I've talked to a couple people today that know him, and they pretty much they said I'm probably not too far off with that suspicion. So, anyhow, if my buddy does decide to farm it, he said he'll pay me for the fertilizer I put down, so I won't be out that. Not that I'd have to go add it up, maybe $1,000 worth of fertilizer. Yeah, probably a little bit more than that. I'd have to go back and look, because that was bean fertilizer, and that was a little heavier. But still probably like $1,500. So yeah, it sucks, but it ain't the end of the world either. But anyhow, I just wanted to, after I had thought about it throughout today and calmed myself down, it's like, you know what, maybe this wasn't necessarily a bad thing to happen. So, and on a lighter note, I finally, after I think 6 days shy of 6 days shy of 6 months, if I remember right, I made the claim on November 3rd. So however long ago that would have been. Finally got my truck back today. Still got to get a few external make pretty parts. The body shop's getting them for me. They were waiting on them. They wanted me to have my truck back, so they let me get my truck, and when the stuff comes in, I'll run it back down there and they'll get it back, or they'll get all the stuff put on while I wait. So, but I got my truck back, I got my fuel tank back, I got my toolbox back, I got my truck back. You don't realize how much you miss your truck until you don't have it, and you don't have all your shit that you normally carry in your truck. So that's a good feeling. So I guess we can end this video on a positive note with that. So, and I guess I'd like to say that I learned my lesson on not having a contract. But I was thinking about that today too, and honestly, I do still believe that there are good people in this world because I do work with a lot of good people in my little endeavor I got going here, and I'm still perfectly fine with doing handshake and word agreements. But this is the difference I was thinking about today, and I maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm right. This is the difference between what happened here and all the other, because I even deal with people out of Chicago on handshake agreements and have not had a lick of trouble. Hell, I got one. I've only ever met the guy once. I keep sending checks and he lets me. I text him once or twice a year and that's it. He's a completely absentee landlord. No trouble with him. And I only have one person that I do a contract with, but it's not because they want a contract. It's because their tax person makes them have a contract for tax purposes. So that's basically a handshake agreement. I got, of all the fields I farm, I only have 2 that actually have rent contracts. Okay, technically, yeah, I'm going to call it 2 because that one I'm not going to count. So of all the ground I farm, everything else is on a handshake and a good word agreement, and I have yet to be burned on it. Here's the difference that I thought about today, though. All those people that I'm renting that ground from are all 40 plus years old, you know, the people that grew up in the time when a handshake agreement and your word was good enough to do business on. That little prick, I'm not even 100% sure he's my age. He might be younger than me yet. But he is at the lower end of the age group, where in my generation and younger, this world is screwed. But that was the difference I thought about today, is he is not of that generation where, you know, that's how you did business, was you shook hands on it and that was your word. So, like I say, even after this, I am still perfectly willing to do handshake agreements, and I wouldn't bat an eye about it because I'll just have to be a better judge of character next time. But anyhow, that's enough on this one. We can end it on a positive note. So that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.